Hare Krishna. Thank you for having me today here. Okay. Thank you for having me, the management and the assembled devotees, and Krishna sanctions everything, and thank you, Lord Krishna, for and Srila Prabhupada for having me to say a few words on your birthday. It's the first time I gave a class on Janamashtami here at Manor. I gave classes in Leicester many years ago on Janamashtami. It's actually very challenging. It's very to talk about God, to talk about someone that we don't know, we never see. We don't see God, isn't it? We have an idea through the Shastra and through the words of the Gurus, through the Parampara, how God looks like and what He does and what is His position. So it's just an idea, a glimpse. But He says in the Gita, but me nobody knows fully. So today I was asked to follow the legacy of the theme of the classes, which is the joy of Janamashtami and the how to perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a daily life, not just on His appearance day, but in every day of our lives. It's correct, Mother Ubashi? She's here? Yes, that's the one. So we will make an attempt to speak on the highest Supreme entity today, Lord Krishna, and I chose this verse. I asked them to give me the verse. They didn't have a verse. They gave a verse to all the previous speakers because they are more qualified than me, but for me I had to choose my verse. So this is it's a common verse. Many devotees, they know, isn't it? It's familiar, and it's easy for me to speak on this verse because it's very much in connection with the previous classes, and it's actually the point, the highest point that we can make, the highest understanding, that Krishna is behind everything, is the cause of all causes. And the verse is on the board. So before we read the verse, we will invoke the blessings of Srila Vyasadeva and also the blessings of my superior present here, my wife, Mother Guru, and blessings of the devotees online. I follow class online, and there's a lot of devotees there. So don't think they're in Maya. This morning I had a Mongol Arti online, and it was very nice. Radha Mohan Prabhu, he sang the Tulsi pray. I know everything what's going on. I know where you sit, where you gossip, where you... So we will invoke the mercy of the Acharya and Vyasadeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And the verse we all know, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. So maybe we should sing it. Why not? All of us, we can have repetition. Sarva Karana Karan, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Any gentleman? Any? Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Adiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Okay, so we'll read the translation now, and Sangeeta Priya Prabhu is reading the translation.
Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the Supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and He is the prime cause of all causes.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Malitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangalam gayate girim yat kripa tamam vande shiguru dinatarinam. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a lame man like me can cross mountains. By the mercy of the spiritual master, a blind man like me can see stars in the sky. And by the mercy of my spiritual master, a dumb man like me may speak few words on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore I offer my humble obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Tamala Krishna Goswaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Bhaskara Desatarine. And my humble obeisances to all the Vaishnava present here and all those who are not present. Vanchakalpadrubhascha kripa sindhubhyaevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo. all the mercy and the knowledge and the wisdom, the understanding about the absolute truth is from the mercy of Sadhu, Shastra, Guru. That is something we have to always remember, even when we are so-called senior devotee or older devotee, whether in age or in spiritual advancement, one should never give up this understanding that the spiritual advancement is actually by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. It's not from our own endeavor. It's from our own endeavor, it will be very difficult. It's like swimming against the waves. So, no matter how much we know, how much we study, how much wisdom we have, but the question is how much we have understood, how much deeply in the heart these things they become verified to us and becomes transformed in faith. So to speak about the Lord, very difficult topic, to speak about Krishna. As I said before, I gave classes on Lord Ramachandra, Lord Nishingadev, on many incarnations, but to speak about Krishna, it's very difficult. As we said before, that we don't see God at the moment. Yeah? You agree with me? Any hands up? Anyone who see God? Of course, it's the image of God is on the altar. We see God, of course. But do we see God, like talking to us or guiding us? We may feel, we'll talk a little bit about this feeling later on. But, so therefore the Acharya, they suggest, if we don't learn to love what we see, we can never learn to love what we don't see. We don't see Krishna at the moment, but we see the devotees, we see the spiritual master, we see the nature. The nature, we can also love the nature, because the nature is an inferior energy which is coming from the causes, the origin, prabhav. It says in the Bhagavad Gita 7.5 that prabhava pralayatai, that I am the source of everything. What is this everything? This material energy, prakriti vidime param, and jiva bhuta mahabhavo. I am the source and the cause, the origin of the material energy, which is me. Prabhava, it's another name of Krishna, which means he is the agent, the cause, and the instrument. Like in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you find these three understanding who is God and what he does. He manifests his, as a Prabhav, he manifests his very first concept about himself, which for us is impersonal, but for him is also a person, which is the Brahman. The Brahman is the conscious, like, you have a consciousness. If you die, you don't feel anything. So the consciousness is very much part of you, of your soul. It makes you think, it makes you talk, it makes you feel. You can't separate consciousness from the soul. So this Brahman, the origin is Prabhav, then Brahman. And from Brahman he creates, again, Bhagavad Gita, if you read there, the very first manifestation from Brahman is the Prakriti, Vidhi me Param. This Prakriti, the material energy, it's none other than Krishna. And it's actually the concept of the back of Krishna, the backside of Krishna. The Srimad Bhagavatam describes that the material energy represents the back of Krishna. Like we have our own back, but we don't look in the mirror because we can't see your back. So it's like it's there, but he's not really bothered about it. So it's a part of the body of Krishna, and it's called Virat Rupa, Prakriti. And this Virat Rupa, even though it's material, it's non-different from the body of Krishna, from Prabhav. It says in the Bhagavatam, anyone who sees the material energy or the body of Krishna as a material, that person is Pashanti, is an offender. So we say, oh, this is material, and we don't touch it. Actually, we have to remember, it's material, but it's paraphernalia of Krishna, belongs to the body of Krishna. And then Param Jiva Bhuta Maho Baho. Superior to this energy is the Jiva. And again, Krishna is the source. Sarva Karana Karanam, the source of the material energy, the source of Brahman, the source of the Jiva, Jiva Bhuta, Maho Baho. It's superior to the Prakriti. Sorry, I'll put it off. And I apologize. Sorry. Let me switch it off. That's it. Actually, somebody was trying to come to the temple. I invite someone to the temple, but anyway, I'm sure they'll find the road. Sincerity will be their map. Where were we? Sorry, the COVID makes me forget. The Jiva, superior to the matter, yes. And so it's interesting that the Jiva is, why is it superior? Because it's part not of the Prabhav of Krishna, but of the Ladini Shakti, which is more intimate, and it's the happiness of Krishna. We're born from the happiness of Krishna, from Ladini Shakti. Shrimati Radharani, she's the cause, Sarva Karana Karana, the cause of Krishna's happiness, the pleasure potency, we call it. And along with that, the Jiva also is manifested. And when the Lord glances on his meditate or contemplate on his happiness, that's how the Jiva becomes manifest. And then, we also have the pragmatic example of the Lord becoming Vishnu, then Vishnu becomes Lord Shiva, Sadashiva. Sadashiva is none other than Krishna. He glances over Ramadevi, who is an expansion of the happiness of Krishna, and the living entity are born. So birth in this world is represents the glance of Krishna. When Krishna glances, he gives birth. He gives origin to jivas. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita explained very nicely that even though he's the origin, the cause, he simultaneously is the agent and also is the instrument. Like, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I gave a class, I think, a few weeks ago about this phenomena, and it's in the Madhya Lila, 6th chapter. If you're interested and you want to get deep into the subject, it's text 144 about Prabhupada quoting Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that this phenomena, it's called, has 3 cases, 3 causes. One is ablative case, one is instrumental, and the other one is locative. The ablative case is Krishna as the source, the origin, and then he becomes the instrument, the material energy. It's an instrument of Krishna, but he's also Krishna himself. So you find the personality of Godhead into the material energy. The locative case, it's when he enters as localized Paramatma in everything, in the material energy, in the atoms, in everything you see around you, and also in your consciousness, into the jiva consciousness. So he's everything. The ablativa means all the 3 together: the origin, the agent, and the instrument. You find this word in Latin as well. That is all the 3 together. So he's the cause of all causes. He created a cause, and then that cause becomes a cause for something else, and then that cause becomes the cause for something else. For example, we get married, we get children, and we think we are the cause of our children. I think Kripamoy Prabhu was mentioning day before yesterday. Correct? It was day before. About Saturday, yeah. And it was interesting because we become proud fathers. We think, oh, look what I've created when a child comes, or a daughter. But we got no idea. We're not there, like sculpting and creating, or creating these beautiful bodies, little bodies. That's Krishna. Aham bija pradapita. I'm the seed-giving father. But then, he makes us feeling that we are also, he makes us play. Okay, you have a toy as well, have a family, a child, and play with my material energy. But we forget that he's the cause of our children. He's the cause of everything that we see around us. And therefore, like this morning after Mangal Arati, there was something interesting. It's in relationship with this. Who was speaking this morning after Mangal Arati about that the Lord Krishna, He wants to see all His children happy. We are all His sons and daughters. Who was reading? Would you remember what you read? You remember? Could you speak louder what you read? In essence, doesn't have to be articulate, everything you said.
Krishna advents himself because he wants to remind us that we're immortal like him. He doesn't want us to waste our time in the material world anymore.
And also that he's our father and he wants to see us happy. So this is the understanding that time to time, he comes, he advents himself to remind us that he's the cause of all causes. So, instrument. If you can't see Krishna, and you can't see the Brahman or the spiritual, then the Acharya, they advise you can try to see the Lord in the material energy. And this is in connection on the theme, how to see the Lord on daily life, in our lives. If for 18 months I didn't come to the temple. It's first time, I'm here talking because of the pandemic, but I didn't feel lost because I've been, every day I go out on book distribution, and I try to see Krishna in every arrangement. I try to see him, when I look at the trees. The Bhagavatam says, it reminds you actually it's not reminding you, but it is the hairs on the body of the Lord, the Virat Rupa. When you look on these, the sun and the moon, they are the eyes of the Lord, watching you, everything what you're doing. It's not that the Lord sees you only when you come here, but he's, there are 33 million demigods watching you at every second. Not just watching what you're doing, what you are thinking also. If you're a good boy or good girl, we've been watched at every second. The wind is the breath of the Lord, the breath of Krishna. The rivers, they're like the veins into the body of the Lord. And even the phenomena, the three gunas, they're my guna, Devyeshu guna mai mama maya duratyaya. Krishna says, the material energy along with this guna is my energy. Devyeshu guna mahi mama maya duratyaya. And it's very difficult to overcome. Everything is the cause of everything. Nothing is being created separate from him. Even the phenomena of birth, old age, disease and death. As we said before, birth represents an aspect of the Lord, the glancing of the Lord. It's very purifying. That's why when children are born, it makes the parents happy. It's a festival in the family. It's very pure. We think it's a contaminant, to see someone taking birth. It's actually a pure thing. Old age, disease, these are all purifying agent. Kalyakanya, Jahara, it's old age. And that's the Lord. He's a personality in the fourth canto. I am. So again, you see, the instrument becomes the agent. You can see the Lord in all the people. Where we discarded, we attracted by the youth. Disease. Nobody wants disease. When I was sick, I encountered the famous COVID virus. A lot of my family, they cursed the virus, maledizione, because some of my relatives, they died from it. We had many devotees dying. But I had to change my way of thinking. It purified me because Krishna is in every atom. So he's also in every organism. Isn't it? Indragupta. Even in the small living entity, you find Krishna. In the virus, you find Krishna. So I had to see the Lord, the cause of this disease is the Lord. But it's not that He's the, responsible for our suffering. He comes to purify us. It's a purifying agent. And disease is represented, there is a name for it, the name of the Lord, Prajvara. In the 4th canto, if you read, description of King Puranjan, Prajvara comes in the form of disease and high fever. People sometimes to test if you have COVID or not. They have to test temperature. And in that temperature, there is God, Krishna. So materialist people, they push it away. The devotees, they embrace the disease. Sanatana Goswami, he embraced his disease. So if we see Krishna in the material energy and in all these phenomena, or we try to understand that there is a God in it, that is a darshan non-different of coming to the temple and seeing Radha Gokulananda on the altar. There is no difference. Actually, you become even more wise and more strong. A young devotee, he needs, a kanishta, he needs to see the deities because he doesn't have much faith. He needs the help of the mother to learn to walk, the Shastra. Shastra is our mother. The Guru to take him by hand, and because his faith is very feeble. But for someone who is outside and think of the Lord, outside of the temple, and sees Krishna in everything, then that is how to see Krishna in our daily life. Then is a Janmashtami every day. You see Krishna in people. Sometimes we think that us and them, we are devotee, they are karmi. But I personally, I learned my school of book distribution. Besides learning English, if I'm talking in English today, saying few words about God, it's due to the credit is due to the book distribution. Being 40 years amongst these lost children, we call them materialistic people, and I learn. I'm grateful to them. There's a say in Italian, no man is my friend, no man is my enemy. Every man is my teacher. That's how we should see life. That we always in the learning mode. Every day we get up and being grateful. Grateful, everything that happened in our life, it's a lesson of Krishna. It's an instrument of Krishna to teach us something. And he's also the agent and the cause. There is a cause behind, that test. Always remember, whether if it's something good happening to you or something bad, it's Krishna, the cause of it. But again, I don't want to mislead you. Don't think for 1 second that he's responsible for our suffering or for our enjoyment. We chose it, the prarabdha karma, according to our desires. That's what we get. And he sanctioned. He sanctioned it. The child puts his hands in the fire, he gets burned. Then he doesn't put again the hand in the fire afterwards because he knows, it's hot and it's painful. So Krishna, for the less intelligent people, he comes in the form of pain, disease or whatever, and he purifies them. But then we don't make the same mistake, hopefully. But very often, we fall down, get up, and then we fall down again. then get up, we fall down again. We carry on making the same mistakes, isn't it? It's familiar, whether it's a small thing or big thing. So that's the strong attraction that we have towards this energy, material energy, the instrument of Krishna. And we fall in the trap many times. And every time there is some pain, that pain is the purifying agent, is a lesson for us to learn. Because, believe it or not, the greatest realization, they only grow in the field of suffering, in the field of pain. So when we are suffering, that's when we should stop and think, what am I doing wrong? Maybe I've done something wrong. And the message is in that pain. The message of the Lord is purifying us. It's good. It's good. Suffering, it's pratyaksha. You can, intelligent person, learn by Shabda Brahman. You hear something today and you put it in your pocket and you use it in your favor. But then there are devotees, they hear, they listen, they hear, but then still they don't believe and carry on making the same mistake. And that's when Krishna comes in a different way from Shabda Brahman, which is pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means experience some suffering. And when we suffer, not only purifies us and makes us remember to not make the same mistake again. So, it's important to actually respect the material energy. And if you're reading that verse of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, 5 and 6 verse, you'll see that all the problems, they start because we try to overlord. Jiva Bhuta Mahabaho. We are supreme compared to the material energy. Even though He's the Lord Himself, but He makes us supreme because we are Jiva. Jiva, it's almost like the same nature of God. But the Prakriti, it's inferior nature. So Krishna makes us feeling superior, but then we overlord, we become exploiters of this energy. Because He's pure. The Virat Rupa is pure. There is nothing wrong with this material world. Anything about God, any paraphernalia or instrument of Krishna, it's completely pure. That's why it's called Dehi Vyesha Gunamai. This my energy, inferior, is divine, he says. He doesn't say it's contaminated. But it's our ignorance to think that, I have to keep away from it. No, you purify your desire or the way out you associate with this energy. There is a way, there is a proper way, guided by the Shastra. We can enjoy it, but in Krishna consciousness. Not too much, not too little. Krishna gives, that's why Bhagavad Gita, a very important message. It gives us the behavior, the perfect behavior, how to relate towards Him, towards the material energy. You can be classified as a bhakti yogi, karma yogi, jnana yogi, depending of your behavior. So, if we don't feel the Lord into the locative aspect, even though He's in everything and in our consciousness, If you don't feel the Lord, especially within yourself, within your heart, then means there is something between us and God, a wall, false ego. And we call it, the Acharya, they call it, that's the false ego is none other than the distance between us and God. Some they have a thin wall, some they have a thick wall, some they have very, to climb and to see what's going on the other side of the wall. We see all these Afghani family, poor innocent people, they're trying to climb the wall in Kabul, to go enter the airport to escape. They have, very thick walls and sewage, the people, they can't escape. The false ego, our false pride, it's the obstacle that doesn't, even though Krishna is very close to us in our heart, he's the closest thing in our consciousness, but there is this layer between us, the false concept of life. So we have to break it down. If we don't feel God, it means, and how is built this false ego? With aparad, offenses. When we think of aparad, we think, Vaishnava aparad. No, it's not just that. Aparad means, you misuse the material energy. Aparad could mean, offenses to the so-called karmis, which at the end of the day, they're not even a karmi. We call them karmi, but because they're engaged in material life. But Krishna says, one who preached this message to my devotee is very dear to me, right? You know about that verse in the Gita? Does he say, one who preached this message to the karmi is very dear to me? Does he say that? Yes or no? So he says, to my devotee, right? Correct? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Because everyone is devotee of Krishna. And we make offenses towards them, offense towards the devotees. What is the meaning of aparad? Up, like you have upper sampradaya. What does it mean, upper, in Sanskrit? Govinda, you know, right? Deviation. Upper sampradaya, when you deviate, from something, from the truth. Aparada. Upper means deviation, and Radha means devotional service. Is the name of Srimati Radharani. So when we make offense, we are deviating. You're not destroying, but deviating from the path of devotion. That's what it means, aparad. And with that comes pride, false ego, that distance between us and God. So we have to be very careful. Very important item. To feel the presence of Krishna, we have to stop that. The aparad, even to ourselves, it could be an aparad. People, they abuse their bodies. People, they underestimate, I'm too much of a fool. I'm no good for spiritual life because I've got no brain, no intelligence, I'm useless. That's an aparad to yourself. Actually, it's an offense to Krishna also. Because if you think, we are all born, created for the pleasure of Krishna. Now, Krishna, if he creates useless living entities, that means he's a stupid God. Isn't it? Who will be interested in such a God? He creates something which is useless. What's the point? But he doesn't create anything which is not useful. Everything is useful. Everything has a meaning. Everything has his own personality with it, within, and represents his aspect. That's why this instrument, the material energy, the locative aspect of the Lord, and the ablative aspect of the Lord, they're all the same. Represents the Lord, the living entity, the material energy, the Brahman, and Krishna himself. He is the cause of all causes, the cause of everything. Even in the personal aspect of the Lord, like in the spiritual world, he expounds himself in many incarnations. But they are none other than they're born from his cause, and they represent something. Ultimately is one cause, the original, the Prabhav, one cause. Like Lord Ram, for example, the Dasya Avatar, they all represent different quality of the Lord. If Lord Ram represents the moral conduct of Krishna, of God. He wants to display his conduct, he comes as Lord Ram. And who is more moral than Lord Ram? I don't think there is anybody. So that's Krishna. This is according to Jayadeva Goswami in one of his commentary, that on the Dasya Avatar, Vamana, he represents, the dwarf brahmachari represents the celibacy of God, celibacy of Krishna. Buddha, what is Buddha means? We all know. Buddhyoka upashritya machita satatam bhava. Intelligence. Buddha represents the intelligence of Krishna, of God. Then you have Nrsingadev, Lord Nrsinga. He represents the anger of Krishna, the anger of God. Parashuram is the justice principle of Krishna. Am I missing anyone out? Kurma, according to Jayadeva Goswami, is the humility of God. Demigods, demons, you study in the Bhagavatam, they were fighting who would get the nectar from the ocean. And they were all absorbed and trying to enjoy, even a Lakshmi Devi when it came out of the ocean. But the Lord himself, he took the humble position. He went to serve their desire. He went as a kurma. Underneath the ocean, underneath the Mount Meru, and he led them, he also had an itch on his back, and he led them, rob the mountain to churn the ocean, to get all their goods. But he took the humble position. That's what a good devotee does, humble devotee. When he sees argument between two, he serves them. The best way to show your humility to two friends who are fighting is to serve both of them. Don't take sides. One time, I don't want to mention name, I had a sannyasi in my house, and I had another person who is very big position, and they had an argument. I didn't know. One of them came to get some harmonium lesson from me, and the sannyasi was already in my house. I said, Maharaj, you don't mind if you join my friend here, join breakfast? And there was a very heavy atmosphere. I didn't know. There was a clash between them. So I made a blunder, but I was serving them, and in a humble way. And that's how they were pleased. And they broke the ice, they started to talk, and it was so nice. The best way is to never take sides. That's kurma. Kalki means hope and light, according to Jayadeva Goswami. When the age of Kali gets dark, then Kalki is a hope for the Kali Yuga people, and light. When you see the light after the tunnel. So in 2 minutes we put the... So I'm almost finished, but I like to glorify this quality of Krishna. Balaram. What is Balaram? What means the word Balaram? Strength. He's the power of God. He's the power of Krishna. The power of God represents. The last one, Varahadev, is a tolerance. It says in the Bhagavatam that is the tolerance of God, Krishna. That when Hiranyaksha came and he blew on the chest of the Lord, and he was swearing at the Lord, but he was so tolerant and he was very happy. At least even when a demon treats me as a person, Prabhupada in the purport says that, who could be more tolerant than Krishna? When people, they swear at us. The other day I was driving and somebody swore at me. And my wife said, you did very well. What was it, yesterday? Someone was, because, it was my fault. I had a hand in a big bag and I was trying to maneuver the car. And then first he said, would you like a cup of tea? And then he ended up swearing. But I deserved it. And my wife said, anyway, you did very well. I'm very proud of you. We all resent it, if someone swear at you or instigate you or attack you, or my son, Gauranga, if he sees someone attacking, he has to defend himself. He's very like a Kshatriya, isn't a Heka, And the last one, Matsya. Matsya represents the wisdom, the seed of wisdom. That's the preserver. All the knowledge, the rishis, they're blessed by the Matsya avatar. He's the preserver of wisdom. Anyway, so these are a few insight from my humble self to share with all of you, and of course you already know all these things, but I hope the Lord, He will manifest Himself more and more every day through the material energy, through the Brahman. Even into the Brahman there is a personality of Godhead. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he saw Krishna into the Brahman. Sukadeva Goswami saw Krishna into the Brahman. They were like Brahmavadi. So even impersonalists, they get attracted. So you see, the Lord is the cause, the agent and the instrument. He's the cause of everything. And on that note, we will thank all of you for having me today here. I'm very happy to see physically all my friends and all of you.